Transitions, punctuation, and placement. You may have seen these sentences in the previous lesson. I forgot my suitcase, however, I still wanted to travel. I forgot my suitcase. In addition, I forgot my passport. In another lesson, we discussed the meaning of these transitions. Now, notice the punctuation surrounding these phrases. Both of these come at the beginning of a sentence after a period, and after these phrases, we use a comma. Here's another example. I forgot my passport, therefore I could not travel. Many times, a transition starts a new sentence, and we need a comma after the transition. If we change the subject to Jake and she, notice we do not use a capital letter after the comma. Notice the difference in punctuation in these sentences. In the first sentence, I forgot my suitcase, in addition, I forgot my passport, we have a semicolon instead of a period, which is followed by a lowercase letter. We can do the same thing with any of the other transitions. In fact, we can change the second sentence to look like this. These are the two ways to start a sentence with a transition: after a period or after a semicolon. Here is a third way that we can use a transition. Jake forgot her passport. She therefore could not travel. This is only acceptable for some transitions, which we will go over in a moment. We can put the transition between the subject and the verb. In this case, the transition should be preceded by a comma and followed by a comma. And finally, we can put the transition at the end of the sentence. Jake forgot her passport. She could not travel, therefore. And it should be preceded by a comma. We've now seen 4 different ways to use a transition in 3 different sentence positions. To review, here are the 3 positions where we can use therefore. Jim didn't take care of his teeth, therefore he has tooth decay. Therefore is at the beginning of the sentence. Tom didn't stretch before his workout, therefore he got hurt. Again, therefore is at the beginning, but it is preceded by a semicolon. Anne woke up late. She therefore was late for work. In this case, therefore is between the subject and the verb. Kim has been saving money. She can afford a car, therefore. And finally, we can put it at the end of the sentence. As I mentioned earlier, we cannot move all transitions to these 3 places. First, let's look at some other words that can move around, like therefore. Then, we'll look at some words that cannot move. Consequently has the same meaning as therefore, and it can move to all the same positions as therefore. We see here it's between the subject and the verb, or at the end of the sentence, or at the beginning with a semicolon. Remember, any transition can also have a period here instead. Since this is true for all transitions, I'm not going to show you this every time. Emily is a skillful dancer. However, Jake is not. However, which expresses contrast, can also move to all the different positions, between the subject and the verb, and at the end of the sentence. On the other hand, which also shows contrast, can also move to all 3 positions, and it is the same with in contrast. Here is a list of words that can move to all 3 positions. 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 3 Most other transitions that are not listed here only come at the beginning of a sentence. Here are some, but not all, transitions that should really only be used at the beginning of a sentence. Finally, let's look at some words that are commonly seen together. I forgot my suitcase. However, I still wanted to travel. I'm not a coordinated dancer. However, I dance anyway. Often, when we use words of contrast, we also use the words still or anyway. These mean that the second action is in spite of the first action. That means that there is really nothing that can stop me from doing the second action. Notice that still goes between the subject and verb, and anyway comes after the verb. I forgot my suitcase. In addition, I also forgot my passport. I forgot my suitcase. Furthermore, I forgot my passport too. Both of these transitions show addition. It is common to use the words also and to with transitions of addition. Notice that also is between the subject and the verb, and to generally comes at the end of a sentence.